What's up, fellas? How we doing? So this is a reaction to UFC Fight Night, Lopes vs Silva. So let's get straight into it with the opener of the prelims cards. We had Rodrigo Santiago versus Daniel Dozcheknio. So Dozcheknio gets it done in the first round, vicious KO. He kind of had the upper hand the whole time, just landing those really nice, clean elbows down the middle. I don't know why he engaged in the grappling as much as he did. Like, he was definitely just winning on the feet, and just eventually became too much for Rodrigo, and won the fight by mean combinations against the cage, and that was the end of that fight. So, very good fight. I look forward to seeing Daniel more in the UFC. He actually is a really fun prospect, so looking forward to that. I think Rodrigo still would be nice to have as well, but tops off to Daniel. Very good way to start the card. Moving on the card up. This really killed the momentum of the card immediately. Maserat Rendion versus Alice Pereira. Pereira just kind of backed up the whole time and didn't really just kept jogging around the octagon almost. You know what I mean? If this was a men's fight, it would have been called off for tenacity a long time ago, but it's cool, whatever. The second round, Maserat pushed Alice and she stumbled, and Maserat was to catch up and just landed some big strikes on her, so that was quite entertaining. There's not really much else to say there. Maserat won rounds 2 and 3, Alice ran away. Moving on. Alexander Costa versus Alden Corino. Good job by Alden Corino, man. That was really impressive. He came in here on short notice and beat the crap out of Alexio Costa. I do want to point out, Alexio Costa did injure his foot at the end of the second round. And in the third round, you could kind of see he was trying to hard it, but he kind of just, I don't think he wanted to be in there anymore. And Alien just boxed him up and won there. I do want to say that I think Aiden was on his way to winning anyway, even with Costa's foot. He definitely won the first 2 rounds. He just had slicker striking, and like the commentary was saying, he just feinted a little bit better. He was feinting, Costa didn't know what to do, and what he threw was nice, strong, straight punches. And that worked really well for him, and he kept elusive, and Costa just couldn't really get it going. Costa did get some really nice takedowns, but then but Alden reversed it and just, kept top position, kept the dominant position, and it was just good for Alden. I mean, it was a really impressive performance. I look forward to seeing his next fight. Moving on. So this was an amazing fight. Zachary Reese versus Cedric Dumas. Zachary just kicked Dumas in the balls immediately, and that was the end of the fight. So, good fight, good showing of talent. Just rebooked the fight, honestly. Moving on, Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Gurula. Now this frustrated me, right? Because I picked Gurula, and when this fight started, I was like, okay, I'm kind of okay with this pick. Because Gula looks massive compared to Jesus. If Jesus could go down to strawweight, he should definitely go down to strawweight. But Lewis kind of took the first round off. Didn't really do much. And got beat up by Jesus a little bit. But then in the second round, Jesus was tired and Lucas managed to take the second round. The interesting round was the third round, because Jesus dropped Lewis with a straight jab, and then he followed up with an uppercut, right shovel hook uppercut looking punch that dropped Lewis to the floor. Lewis managed to reverse position when I think Aguilar jumped his back and didn't work, and managed to land some really nice ground and pound on the floor, but then they managed to get up, and Jesus just had the better posture, better finishing potential. He landed more than one shot at a time. He threw the better combinations, and I think that just edged him the round. Well, obviously dropping Lewis as well helped a lot there. But yeah, it just looked like Lewis just didn't want to commit, and that was really unfortunate because I think he could have won that if he really wanted to. Yeah, good for Jesus. I'm never gonna pick Lewis again. I think that was a bad showing. I don't know why he looks so bad today. But yeah, good for Jesus. Moving on. Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos. Crap fight. Didn't even really want to watch it. Holder against Tatiana Suarez just held Amanda Lemos against the cage and just did those kinds of things to her. Amanda Lemos had quite a deep guillotine / ninja choke, whatever the hell was going on over there. I think it was a guillotine choke at the end of the round, but Tatiana Suarez stood still, kept her posture, and Amanda couldn't finish her. So that was pretty much an interesting part of the fight. Amanda Lemos did... Sorry, there was another interesting part. Amanda Lemos did drop Tatiana pretty badly at the end of the third, but she just didn't have enough time to finish it. So that won her the third round. But other than that, Tatiana Suarez just out-wrestled her in the most boring way possible. Just held her against the cage. So yeah, that was that fight. Moving on. Let's see. Claudio Perales versus Joaquin Silva. Now, I was quite good. I picked Perales to win. And I thought he was going to win. Because in the first round, he held Silva down the whole round and he took him down immediately and held Silva down the whole round, and Silva didn't really have an answer for him. So I was like, alright, he can do this again. Second round he couldn't do it anymore, and he was throwing and landing okay, but it wasn't really enough, and Silva was just landing better and doing more damage. And I think the round was fairly close. I was still at the end of the second, I was still leaning towards Silva. But then at the end, he just locked up a really tight guillotine and just hung on it for the last 10 seconds and squeezed. And I think that really pushed it over the round over to him in the judges' eyes, because that just was a really good way to end it, and he gets the submission attempt. So, I mean, that was a really tight guillotine. I don't know if Perales would have been able to get out of that anytime soon. But then the third round starts, and Perales rocks Silva with a nice straight left down the center. Looked really good, and then he followed up, and then over the time he was kind of getting a little bit better of these exchanges, but then Silva just drops Perales with I think it was a right uppercut left hook, or like it would have been like something like that, right? Just dropped Perales really badly, and he barely hanged in there at the end of the round and managed to survive. And unfortunately, I think that just lost him the round, to be honest, because ending the round like that, it just looks really bad, and he wasn't doing enough in the early rounds to distinguish himself from Silva that greatly. He did wobble him, but other than that, I think getting dropped beats the wobble. So that was a good win by Joaquin Silva. I think Perales might be done, man. I thought he could beat Silva. I didn't think Perales was, particularly good, but I knew he was better than I thought losing to Faresi's and Dan Hooker was not a bad look at all. So, yeah, that's just how that ends. 2 seconds, sorry. Yeah, it's just not a good look. And I think he might be done. And good for Joaquin Silva. I don't really know what to do with him now. Moving on. Jose Medina versus Dusko Travovic. I picked Dusko. I think everyone picked Dusko, and he beat up Jose Medina. I don't know why Jose Medina's in the UFC. He should never have been in the UFC. I mean, Dusko was just landing right hands on Jose the whole time, the whole fight. Then he managed to take him down with, I think, a throw or something like that, and just took the back and just managed to lock up a rear naked choke, and that was the end of that. It's quite disappointing to see, because it makes you think, like, what is Jose's skill set? He doesn't have good jiu-jitsu. He doesn't have good striking. He doesn't have takedown defense. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have size or strength on you. He's going to be smaller than you. It's kind of like, how did he even win his fights in the first place? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? But good for Dusko, keeps his career alive on life support a little longer. I think Jose Medina might be done. Moving on. The main card, everyone. Santiago Luna versus Li Kwang. I was really happy with this pick, Santiago Luna. He came in there, he looked good, he was fast, he was strong, and he just... I mean, Li Kwang had something for him in the first round, but then Santiago just took over and just pretty much flatline KO'd Li Kwang. So, not really much to say there. He's a strong guy, and he's really quick, and he's got good boxing. Yeah, good for Santiago Luna. Moving on. Alexander Hernandez versus Diego Ferreira. So now this one, I was worried about. When I saw Diego Ferreira fight, and I'm like, oh my god, he's hit old man status. Like, you know when you look, like, UFC fighters at some point, they just hit old man status, where they're so stiff, they're so slow, they don't, like, these shots are, like, aggravating them that wouldn't have aggravated them earlier in their career, and I'm like, he just looked so unathletic, Diego Ferreira. He did win the first round. I was like, okay, maybe not the end of the world. And then Alex Hernandez, as Ferreira threw a left hook, Hernandez came with a straight right down the pipe and just killed Diego Ferreira. And then just finished him off with some ground and pound on the floor. Good for Alexander Hernandez. He has really put together a good streak here. Honestly, he might have earned himself a top 15 opponent, or at least someone who's right out the rankings. But then again, Diego Ferreira, I think, was just outside the rankings. So yeah, I think you can give Alexander Hernandez a top 15 opponent, honestly. He's really putting it together. Make him rematch Darush. That would be really funny. I think Hernandez would win that fight. Yeah, good for Hernandez. He stayed very on the outside, though. I see this as a problem with his style. It's because he's always on the back foot, always going backwards, is he can get, I think, outpointed pretty easily, because he's relying on landing that straight right down the pipe to knock you out to win fights. So, I don't know. I think he's beatable, but he did look really good. So, good for Hernandez. I'm very impressed. I didn't think he would do that well. But, yeah, man, Diego Ferreira's starting to look a little old. I'm going to have to take that into account when I'm thinking about if he's going to beat someone next. Moving on, Calvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stolfitz. Calvin is fat. Let's start off there, man. Like, how can you miss weight? He's 5'9" at middleweight and he's missing weight. That's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But not like a little bit either, but like 5 pounds. And Dustin Stolfitz kind of brought it to him, man. Like, Calvin didn't really... He won the rounds, but he didn't distinguish them too well, in my opinion. Dustin kept landing a left hook right hand on him, but Calvin would do the same, but like landed stronger. And that was kind of enough. And Calvin, he does hit hard. And he dropped Stolfitz a few times, and yeah, it's just, Stolfitz isn't good enough to contend with Calvin. But yeah, man, Calvin misses weight and wins a fight. It just feels unfair. I would cut him from the sport. He didn't even I don't think it was that amazing of a fight. People were saying how good of a fight is. I'm like, no, it's not that good. I don't know. I question his commitment to the sport. Yeah, I think you could cut him and it would be fun. Anyway, not impressed. Moving on. I mean, this was supposed to be a give me fight for Calvin, Dustin Stolfitz. I think he should have finished Stolfitz. He had lots of opportunities. He was landing hard. I just think he's over. I just don't think Calvin's here anymore. And I was very upset that he missed weight. That's really upsetting. Moving on. Rafael Garcia versus Jared Gordon. I don't know what the hell has happened. All these guys suddenly hit old man status. Like, Jared Gordon looks so slow and so stiff. I don't know what happened. He had they're talking about how he had a kid now. I'm like, okay, so he's had a kid and all the testosterone is drained from his body. I think that's what's happened here. I mean, Rafael Garcia, he was a bit quicker, had a bit better strikes. And yeah, he knocked Jared Gordon out. What did he knock him out with? I think it was just a left hook, wasn't it? I can't remember. Don't choke me on that. But Rafael Garcia, he knocked Jared Gordon out in the third round. They both were kind of just very boxing heavy. I would have loved to see like a little more kicks, a little bit more takedowns from either of them. I think would have done them better. But yeah, it was quite a boxing heavy fight. I don't know. Jared Gordon looked old, man. He really just did look old. Like his punches, he would just put them out there. They didn't look like they were there to cause any damage. I know not every punch you throw has to be there to knock someone out, but there's got to be some kind of intent behind them. Sometimes, at some point, there's got to be, and I think that gave Rafael Garcia the advantage. And Jared Gordon, yeah, I think he won the second round, and Rafael won the first, and then Jared got knocked out in the third. There's not really much more to say there. Moving on. Rob Font versus David Martinez. Oh yeah! Your boy got this one right. You all doubted me. No one even watched the video. Yeah, David Martinez won. He looked really, really good. Really quick, really powerful. Good combinations. And he just backed up the whole time, and Rob Font just didn't know what to do. He couldn't catch up to him, couldn't beat him, and I think what also helped Garcia was he was throwing lots of Martinez, was he was throwing lots of kicks at Rob Font, and I think that was the kind of the difference. And he just made it so hard for Rob Font to land his combinations, because Rob Font, I think, is a better boxer, but because David was always moving, it made it hard for Rob Font to land his combinations. And then David drops Rob in the last second of the round. I want to say how it was kind of interesting. The crowd was going so loud and so crazy that they didn't even hear the horn, and like it went on for a good like 3 to 5 seconds longer than it should have. So that was funny, but yeah, good for David Martinez. I think he won every round on my scorecard. At least he won every round. I mean, look at that. He landed 115 strikes to 49, and he landed 62 significant strikes to 49. It's just, you can't like outdo that. Like even though those aren't necessarily significant, it just looks so much better when you land stuff like that. So yeah, I think I was right. I think Rob Font was looking. He's preparing for Paul Rosa Jr., who's a grappler, and this striker comes in on short notice and just beats him. So Rob Font's finally been dethroned. Good for David Martinez. This is his second fight in the UFC. He's like going to be in the top 15 at least. So good for him. I'm interested to see how he does against the other top 15 guys. Anyhow, moving on. Main event. Diego Lopes vs Gene Silva. I was so scared watching this fight. Because Diego Lopes, Alexa Grasso, and who else does he train with? What's that girl's name who got the up kick with the liver? Irene Aldana. Yeah, Diego Lopes, Alexa Grasso, and Irene Aldana. The no footwork crew. Because they all train under the same guy. They have no footwork. And it's so funny. No footwork, no head movement. We keep our heads straight on the line, boys, and we just throw heavy punches. And Diego Lopes threw heavier punches, I guess. Not really. Okay, let's break this fight down. This is quite a good fight. Immediately, Gene Silva throws something spinning, and Diego Lopes catches that and takes Gene down. And then he gets into eventually works his way to full mount and lands some of the most nasty elbows I've ever seen. And just breaks Gene Silva's head open, punches, and Gene looks like he uses a lot of energy there. He eventually does escape in like the last minute of the round and lands some decent shots back on Diego Lopes. But it's looking like if Gene hadn't landed those shots at the end of the round, it would have been a 10-8 for Diego Lopes, in my opinion. It could have even been a 10-8 after that, honestly, but Gene landed some really nice shots because Diego Lopes doesn't use footwork or move his head. So I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Now Diego Lopes knows all he's got to do is take this guy down and he's going to win. So in the second round, he doesn't take him down. And Gene starts to find his range with his jab, his right hand, his left hook. Starts landing some good kicks. Gene was landing this push kick, but to the jaw. Like he kept throwing this up kick this whole time. that was landed on Diego Lopes, and I was just waiting for it to chin him, to be honest. But apparently Diego Lopez's head is just too big, and it didn't matter. Um, Again, Gene throws something, and Diego manages to catch it and take him down, but Gene gets back to his feet again. And Gene's starting to land quite a lot of shots here. Like, Diego is staying composed, but he's eaten some huge shots, man. Like, I don't know how Diego ate those, but he did start retreating back a little bit, and Gene followed, and Diego Lopes threw like the most beautiful spinning elbow I ever seen, and badly drops Gene Silva. Like, Gene looked like he might have been out there for a second, and Diego jumps on him, swarming, like throwing all these punches, and it gets stopped right near the end of the second round. Did I think it was a little early? Sure. Do I think Gene was going to get out of it? No. I really didn't think so. I think he was just taking all this damage. And I think Diego Lopes there kind of showed... They showed two things. I think he needs to really work on his footwork and head movement. Like, I think he needs to really work on those things, because he took a lot of damage that fight. But it also kind of showed me that Gene Silva is good enough to hang with these top guys. He just got overzealous and got caught. Like, if you put Gene Silva versus an Arnold Allen, I think he would do okay, or something like that. Someone who isn't going to finish him out of the middle of nowhere, he would do fine. But Diego Lopes is a tough cookie to fight. So, I don't think it was a bad performance by Gene. He got a bit emotion. He always fights with emotion, but he got a bit too like, I want the finish too badly, and Diego just able to like spin an elbow, which is the end of that. Isn't it crazy how many spinning elbows are happening now? Because I think we've realized that we can do it now, and people are just like, wow, these are actually really good. So now everyone's using them, which I think is quite interesting. Yeah, good for Diego Lopes. Poor form from Gene Silva, though, for punching Diego after the bell. If this was old UFC, Dana would have just fucking cut him immediately, but he won't cut him because Gene's got star power. Also, tough break for the Fighter Nerds, man. Like, all of them have lost recently, except for Prates, who had his loss earlier. But yeah, Fighter Nerds ain't looking so mythical no more, boys. I still think they're good fighters and they're a good team, but yeah, we kind of pushed them a little too hard. Except for Caio Borraio, he did the right way. He went up to the hard way. But these other guys like Gene and Prates and Rufy, we all kind of pushed them a little too hard. They should have taken their time climbing the rankings, if you ask me. But yeah, good for Diego Lopes. Happy for him. Fantastic fight. Good way to end the card. Overall, the card is pretty good. We had some really stinky fights. Three really stinky fights I can think of. But overall, it's quite good. Good. I put on a good card. Good job, UFC. Well, anyway, boys, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.